Hello. In this video, we will discuss the domain name system. After watching this video, you will be able to define domain name system and explain how domain name system works. Imagine what happens if all of us are identified by numbers and not by names. Don't you think it would be difficult to remember the numbers and would create a lot of confusion? This is because humans are better at remembering a person's name rather than the identification number. Every computer on the internet is identified by a unique identification number called Internet Protocol Address or IP address. However, it is difficult for us to remember all the IP addresses. Imagine how difficult it would be if you had to remember and enter a set of numbers whenever you wanted to do some online shopping or check your mail. To make it easier for people, domain names were developed so that easily remembered names could be used to identify computers in the network instead of using an IP address. Some of the most popular domain names are www.gmail.com, www.yahoo.com, www.facebook.com, and many more. Such domain names and their corresponding IP addresses are maintained by a database called Domain Name System or DNS. The domain names in the DNS are similar to the telephone directory with phone numbers. For example, how the phone number 614-595-5895 is mapped to the person John Smith. In the very same way, every device that communicates through an internet has a unique machine-readable IP address that is mapped to a human-readable domain name. For example, when you browse for the domain name yahoo.com on internet, its IP address 209.191.88.254 is mapped with the domain name in the DNS database. In a DNS, domain names are organized as a hierarchical and logical tree structure. This tree structure of a DNS is known as the DNS namespace. The domain name hierarchy has a unique root and numerous subdomains. Consider an example of www.google.com. The domain name google.com represents a fully qualified domain name. This means that dot represents root level domain, com represents top level domain, Google represents second level domain, and www represents sub-level domain of Google, which is the host computer in www.google.com domain. A DNS also has other top-level domains that include .net for networking organizations, .edu for educational organizations, .gov for governmental organizations, and .org for other organizations. Top-level domains can also include country codes such as .in for India, .ca for Canada, .nl for Netherlands, .au for Australia, and many more. In a DNS, servers work together to map all domain names to their IP addresses. DNS servers working together is what allows computers to communicate across the internet. All these DNS servers are responsible to know only a small portion of data, such as a single subdomain. The portion of a domain for which the server is directly responsible is called a zone. Zones contain the name and IP address information about one or more parts of a DNS domain. A server that contains all of the information for a zone is called the authoritative server for the domain. Now let us see how a DNS works. A DNS works by establishing communication between client and server machines. Suppose you want to look at the website www.udel.edu. You will open your browser and type the domain name in the address bar. When you press enter, your machine tries to find out the IP address of this website. The IP address is retrieved using domain name lookup service. Let us see how this works. Your computer asks the resolving name server or resolver, what is the IP address of www.udel.edu? The resolver, which is used by ISPs to resolve a domain name, searches for the answer in its cache. If it does not have an IP address, then it asks for the root server. The root server checks its cache and sends IP address in udel.edu case. It's 128.175.13.92 back to the resolver. Then the resolver sends its request to the www.udel.edu server. The udel server responds to your request and the website will be displayed on your screen. This is how a domain name is mapped with an IP address. Let's summarize what we have done in this video. Domain names were developed to make it easier for people to identify the computers in the network instead of using an IP address. Domain names and their corresponding IP addresses are maintained by a database called Domain Name System. www.gmail.com, www.yahoo.com, www.facebook.com are some of the examples of domain name. The domain name hierarchy has a unique root and numerous subdomains. A DNS works by establishing communication between client and server machines. Thank you for watching this video.